Please be advised that this recorded webinar has been edited from its original format, which may have included a product demo. To set up a live demo or to request more information, please complete the form to the right. Or if you are currently not on CSC Global, there is a link to the website in the description of this video. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Ask a Recruiter webinar, Company Culture Edition Part 2. My name is Shauna Hilliard, and I'm the leader for CSC's Diversity and Belonging Program, and also your moderator for today's webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to take just a few quick moments to make a few quick announcements. First, you can enter your questions and comments in the Q&A widget at any time during the presentation. We're going to cover a brief overview of CSC, and then we're going to use the majority of today's sessions to answer your questions. At the bottom of your screen, there are multiple application widgets that you can use. All of the widgets are resizable and movable, so please feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. You can also expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the areas in the top right-hand corner. In the resource widget on the right side of your screen, you'll find a link to the CSC Insider where you can find more stories from CSC colleagues. You'll also find a link to part 1 of our company culture webinar and the LinkedIn accounts for today's speakers. We would love to connect with each of you. Finally, at the conclusion of our webinar, you will all receive a recording of today's session. And with that, let's meet the team. So, as mentioned, my name is Shauna Hilliard, and I identify using she, her pronouns. I've been with CSC for 12 and a half years and am currently responsible for bringing a globally inclusive culture of diversity and belonging to the organization. In my free time, I love to paint acrylic on canvas, I read a lot, and I play basketball. Next up, we have Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Lopez. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a talent acquisition partner here at CSC. Have been with CSC for a little over 2.5 years now, and I support the corporate and legal services operations department. Fun fact about me, I've run 7 5Ks over the last year, and I'll be training for my first 10K in November. So I'll hand it over to Adrian.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. As Sarah said, my name is Adrian Mayberry, and I am a senior talent acquisition partner on the HR team. Started my career with CSC just shy of 3 years ago, and I support our recruitment efforts in our shared services organization. So that includes all things HR, marketing, accounting and finance, facilities, compliance, legal. That's all me. Fun fact about me, I love to spin. I'll look for any spin class I can, and I read a ton. And I think Naomi will finish it up for us.
Thank you, Adrian. So hi, everyone. I'm Naomi Thomas, and I am a talent acquisition partner here at CSC. I recruit to the corporate and legal services within EMEA. And a fun fact about me, I really enjoy roller skating. So it's a full, family event and interest of ours. And yeah, I'd like to get on the wheels. Handing over to Shauna. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Naomi. So when we talk about a company's culture, we can identify its importance because it shapes the work environment and it influences colleague satisfaction. On the screen here, you'll see just 3 components of CSC's company culture. Within the D&B program, our 5 pillars of diversity provide the structure of our program and model the core values of our organization. Through our connection and celebration pillar, we have 8 diverse colleague resource groups and counting that consist of colleagues who come together at work based on shared characteristics or life experiences. These groups that include representation from several communities are spaces for cultural networking, learning, and support. Next, Adrian will highlight some of our CSC Gives Back initiatives.
Thank you, Shauna. Yes, these are some very special initiatives that we have. I would like to really just draw special attention to the 3rd bullet there, supporting the causes that matter most to our people. We have so many opportunities, and not even just locally, but globally, for people to get involved and to do what matters to them, whether it be through virtual volunteering or actually on-site volunteering. Certain teams within the company will actually go and support various organizations, whether it be, a food bank effort or supporting, a home that is open to people with certain needs, that they'll go and, contribute effort to working there. On a global level, we recently had a Kiva initiative and crowdfunding to causes that really matter to the person. We had choices of places to donate, and it's just a really special initiative and just one of many with CSC Gives Back. Sarah, do you want to tell a little bit more about our values, any that are standing out for you?
Definitely. Typically, when I think about values, I have the genuine side and the teamwork side always stand out for me. For me, it's knowing that I can rely on my colleagues. If I'm ever out on PTO or need to step out of the office, I know everyone's willing to jump in, my leaders here. And I also think back to my very first interview with CSC. I could tell from that very first conversation that everyone truly loved working at the company. So I'm always excited to be able to share that as well with other prospective new hires. Naomi, is there anything that you might want to add to the values portion?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Sarah. So definitely with the values, again, echoing what Sarah's highlighted, genuine always stands out to me. It's very important that I act with integrity, and also those that I work with. And teamwork, I have a great team around me, and it's not just those in my immediate location, but being able to collaborate with colleagues across the waters, all over the globe. It's a really enjoyable experience to be part of this, international community that we have within CSC. And just one final value that I like to highlight is service, and it's the service that we all provide to one another, internally, but also externally to our, candidates, our clients. It's such a strong theme through everything that we do. So those stand out to me. And you, Shana?
Thanks again, Naomi. Audience, please, I would like to point out, I think my camera is freezing in and out a little bit. I just want to apologize for any of the technical difficulties, and hopefully it doesn't freeze for too long on a terrible face and you catch me smiling. So apologies for that little caveat. But now I think, the reason that everyone is here today, you've got questions and we've got answers. The first question that we have for our panelists today: can an employment gap on a resume prevent you from getting interviews? And what's the best way to address an employment gap on a resume?
I think I can
Shauna,
field this one, Shauna.
Sarah,
Why don't you start?
Okay, thank you. So for employment gaps, I would say no, it wouldn't necessarily prevent you from being hired or from even having an initial phone interview. Or at least what I would recommend is, if possible, possibly having a cover letter to add on top of your initial application that you're submitting to maybe explain the employment gap. I think honesty and just that transparency from day one or from the jump would be important. I know for me personally, I do like to ask those questions during my initial phone interview and asking about the employment gap. I know that a lot of the gaps right now happen during COVID, which usually if I see the name 2020 almost gives me PTSD, but it almost, explains that in a way. A lot of things happened during COVID, and it was a difficult time. But for me, I'd say honesty, but not necessarily that it would prevent you from being hired. It's just having that conversation with somebody here is an important piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. Naomi, Adrian, anything that you can chime in on that?
I would say that you really could add that to your resume and just be very direct. To Sarah's point, I'll just piggyback off that comment. Just being honest, adhering to one of our values, right? Being genuine, open, honest, direct, and just managing it head on, in that phone interview that you may have with one of our talent acquisition partners, and just talking about it, talking through it, because there can be reasons for those employment gaps. And we do try to be understanding of those. I will add, though, I think they can be role specific, because when it comes to technology, there could be many technologies that you don't have that are, have been, they're constantly updating through the years. So I think it can be a bit role specific, but we're happy to talk about it with you.
Absolutely. That transparency piece is definitely important and kind of rolls back into our values of being genuine and just being open and honest about our conversations with one another. Having something like that begin right at the career trajectory process is a great way to start building that relationship with CSC. Spot on answers from our panelists. Our next question has come in, and our audience would like to know, how are remote employees made to feel included? And panelists, if you don't mind, I would like to, from a diversity and belonging perspective, take a stab at this question before I let you all answer. Just to say, we have a culture and a community at CSC that is inclusive and aims to be engaging for everyone. If we go back to what Sarah said about some of the challenges that 2020 and COVID brought us, it also provided us an opportunity to engage more in the virtual space and to engage more with not only our remote colleagues, but our colleagues who are in different locations geographically in our different regions, and has been able to bring us together in a way that we weren't able to come together prior to 2020. So to that note, remote employees, global employees, regardless of their location, are able to come in to participate in different sit and learn opportunities. They are able to participate in different diverse observances and holidays initiatives that we have throughout the year. So just from that perspective, there are several ways for remote colleagues to engage within the organization and not to have that I feel left out feeling.
I'll just add,
Adrian?
I'll just add, as a remote employee myself, that engagement piece is so important. I used to be local to our headquarters, where I could go in the office and see people and have face-to-face interactions that I can no longer have until I do have visits back to Delaware. But I think that, the team has done, and even the broader teams in CSC have just done a fabulous job of helping me stay engaged and connected with what is going on in the company. So I do feel informed. And I also think that there is the responsibility of the remote employee to reach out and seek that engagement too. So I guess I would just add that, as a remote employee, that I know that is also my responsibility to a point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sarah, Naomi, anything that you wanted to add on?
Just one quick thing that I was thinking of. So I also work remote for the most part. And I would say that, as far as my experience goes, I almost feel that my experience has not been different than being in an office setting. Not only do I still have, those regular one-on-one touch points that Adrian mentioned with your team, your leader, which is most important to me. I have those conversations with my leader, so she knows what I'm looking for, or what I need if I am stuck on anything. My team is also here to support me. So we're all across the globe. And personally, that's one of my favorite things about the company, is that although I'm in this location here in the US, I have colleagues all around the globe that I can connect with, and some are in office, remote, but I'd say the experience would be the same either in office or fully remote.
Absolutely. And I keep hearing the theme of our values popping up: teamwork, genuine. I just heard the teamwork aspect of it, whether you're remote or in the office or a hybrid version of those two. There's this teamwork aspect where you feel like you belong, you have the connectivity with your team, with your leaders, and no one's missing a beat there. Thank you. Thank you for that, panelists. So we have our next question in. If you're interested in remote work, how would you approach that subject in an interview? And I think this is a really good one.
Yeah, I'd like to take this one if I can.
Absolutely.
So definitely it goes back to, as there has been a running theme of going back to our values, but highlighting just being genuine from the get-go and having those open conversations. If it is something that is relevant to the role as well, in 90%, if not 99% of our adverts will state if remote working is an option, if it states hybrid, or if it requires you to be on site full time. So if that is an option, then of course it's quite clear. But if it's not highlighted on the advert and it says hybrid, there's no harm in asking when you have that initial conversation with one of the talent acquisition partners that will be in touch with you after they've shortlisted your application. So definitely it's something that should be brought up at the very beginning of your discussions that you start to have, so that everyone's on the same page.
Spot on. Adrian, Sarah, anything you wanted to add in?
Naomi really hit that right on. I don't necessarily have anything. Really just echoing what she said. I would say if remote is an option, we have included in every single posting. We'll have that typically at the very top of the posting. We'll have the hours, the job, where it can sit. Some positions can sit remotely. Sometimes we even look for specific time zones, or at least here in the US, we may look for Pacific time, Central time, Eastern time. So we do go into the specifics, but I'd say if that is something that is important to you, just bringing that up from the very start so that we understand and have that expectation and can connect with the leaders and, possibly work things out. If the position is able to, some positions, at least the ones that I work on, require physical documents that need to be reviewed in the office. So as Naomi said, depending on business needs as well.
Fantastic answer. And again, hearing that theme with our values again, genuine, open, honest, even from the front when we're having those conversations with our talent acquisition partner. If we're upfront and honest, then we can move forward and find the role that best suits us. All right, folks, you've got questions and we've got answers. So next up for our panelists, what's the best way to bridge work experience that might not relate to the role that you're applying for? Well, this is a good one. I see the gears turning in our panelists' heads. I see them thinking. These are great questions from the audience here.
That is a good question. I'm just going to need 1 minute to think about this one.
Well, I'm happy to
grab this one. Oh, Naomi, please.
Go ahead. Go on, Adrian. No, go on.
All right. It's honestly a quick comment. And the first thing that came to mind, or the thing that we talk about an awful lot, transferable skills. So are you able to take what you have done in the past and pivot a bit to possibly take on a role that doesn't really look traditionally what you would the kind of position you would have, so that you're not really pigeonholed, right? You're branching out, you're looking at other opportunities. I think if we've said this before, that people in technology, and forgive me, I know I don't recruit for technology, but I think I can speak for those who do, that they do look for those transferable skills to sometimes be relevant in that world as well. The people orientation, the even just strong math skills that they may apply in other positions that they can also transfer to technology. So I think it really it does depend on what those skills are and what the role calls for. There are going to be some positions that you just can't make quite a large pivot like that, but there are others that I think transferable skills are critical.
Good answer. Sarah, did you have a minute to think on that?
Yes. And thank you, Adrian. That was a great answer. It made me think of my answer. So I appreciate the details there. So the one thing that I was thinking back, so when I do have these conversations with candidates or someone who may have seen something online, and they're also sort of at that point where they're not sure if their experience would align or what could they do to get to this department potentially. And the one thing that I would say is the willingness to learn. Here at CSC, we provide you with tools. We have different trainings that happen, and we've even set up some boot camps as well with outside partnerships. So I would also say, are you taking steps to Adrian's point, some of their technical roles, are you taking steps to learn a specific code or a specific program that you might be looking for? So I would say just that, having that flexibility, if that willingness to learn is there. Some of the teams, depending on how technical they are, again, I'd say are willing to bring somebody in, train them, and then get you to that point. We don't always have everything we need to be, 100% a fit. And I'd say most times we won't find a 100% fit. At the end of the day, we're all, in a way, work in progress. We're all learning every single day. I'm learning every day. So I'd say it's the only thing that I had to add. Adrian was pretty spot on there.
I think that's an absolutely excellent ad. Similar to what you said, I came over to CSC 12 and a half years ago, but my credentials did not exactly match, the position that I was brought on for. And, they trained me. You know, CSC isn't one of those company fit type organizations. We want folks that will add to our organization. And if you when you add to the organization, the learning and the technical pieces for certain positions, Adrian, I heard you, for those, you know, for certain positions, you know, we can absolutely bring folks in and train them if, you know, when you come with the acumen and the willingness to learn in those values or some of those values that we talked about before. Naomi, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that question about the experience that might not be related to the role that you're applying for?
No, definitely echo what both Adrian and Sarah highlighted, the transferable skills all the way for me, yeah.
Okay, good. So around the board, transferable skills, we can definitely work with that, you know, have those conversations, be genuine in your conversations with your talent acquisition partner. All right, we've got our next question up, and I'm actually excited about this one. I like this one. How would you describe CSC's company culture, and has it changed since you first joined? Panelists, if you don't mind, again, if I could answer or start the kickoff of this answer to this question as a, you know, colleague who has been with the organization for 12 and a half years, I can honestly say that CSC's culture is, you know, aside from the attributes or in addition to the attributes or some of the attributes that we listed on the previous screen, it's authentic. You know, it is an absolute authentic organization to work for. There are authentic individuals, authentic leaders, senior leadership, and the likes of it. The company culture has changed since I have started working for the organization, but in a more organic way. I would say that it's changed in an evolutionary way where we are able to see more organic conversations, a more diverse colleague engagement experience, and, you know, just a very real sense of being able to go in and connect with the folks that you work with on a non-robotic level, but on a human level. And I don't, you know, I hope that the three of you share those sentiments, but definitely happy to hear from you and looking to hear from you three on how you would describe CSC's company culture.
Shauna, I would echo what you said about dealing and working with a diverse group of people. I think even in the just shy of 3 years since I started with CSC, you know, my role has changed so much. And the people that I am talking to, the managers I'm working with every day, the teams I'm interacting with, they are such on a global level. It used to be so, you know, America's centric for me. And that is just really changed. And you know, it's exciting to grow like that with a company, and to know that the support though has been, even I would say it's been consistent. Support has been since day one, but the interactions have just grown exponentially, and I'm grateful for it. Yeah, love our culture. Absolutely
So
love
well
it.
said.
Naomi,
So
Sarah,
well said.
thank you.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with what you said. And just to add that, for me, the company culture, it really, I feel like everyone can be built up within their role, but also within their career. Like you feel valued and invested in. That's me talking as a talent acquisition partner who started as someone who was recruiting solely to London-based roles, and then my role changed, and now I get to recruit to roles within EMEA. So there's growth, you're definitely challenged, and it's very positive. The changes that come along, you're supported through those as well. So for me, it's you're supported in your career decisions that you desire to make and where you want to get to. And you're empowered for the role that you're in as well.
And that support and
Anything
empowerment is so important. It's so, you know, important to any candidate, to any employee or colleague once they join the organization, knowing that not just your leader has your back, but that the organization has your back. And I feel like that's the type of organization that CSC is. Our next question has come in. Panelists, are you ready?
Ready.
All right. They look ready, folks.
We're ready.
Can you come across as too confident in an interview? can you come across as too confident
That's a
in a
good
video?
question.
The audience has caused them to put on their thinking caps again. I love it. I love
I
it.
can start this one. So typically our screening process, at least in my experience, I will have an initial phone call. So as far as coming off as too overconfident over the phone, I can't say I have had too much experience with that, to be quite honest with you. It's something where I can't necessarily get a full read on you over the phone as far as being too overconfident. But I would say, at least for some of the things that we screen for, so at the end of the day, yes, we're looking for some of those transferable skills that the role may be looking for. But I would say when you are going through a phone screen, I guess I'm going to answer the question sort of by not answering the question in a way. So I would say when going through a phone interview, it is important to show that you're trainable is not the best word that I want to use here, but trainable or moldable in a way. Again, it's not a one size fits all for the roles that we have here. So it is important that, yes, you highlight your skills. It's your chance to brag a little bit on yourself, and then that's perfect. That's what we're looking for. I want you to share your experience, how you excelled, how you thrived in this role. But again, sort of stepping a little away from going too far into that route and making it seem that you have been able to grow in your role. You've taken initiative in learning. You're learning right now. You're taking a course here. I would say those are some ways to not come off as overconfident. But I would say that's the only thing that I can think of right now to answer that question. I haven't had too much experience with somebody coming off as too overconfident over a phone interview. I don't know if any of the other panelists have anything that they'd like to add or an experience that they might have had.
For me, I just think there's, obviously there can be a thin line between, confidence and then arrogance, but it goes back to what Sarah highlighted, that you can normally tell from someone being confident in the experience and the skills that they have already and what they can bring to the role, but also that person being aware of where they can develop and grow. And it's not necessarily, you're not always going to have a question, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Because then obviously you would highlight, whether you want to be in a leadership role, because obviously that will imply that you have some development ideas in mind. But, it's something that comes across through, your responses, maybe in some of the scenarios that you may use as responses to interview questions, where you highlight areas where you've learned from a certain situation and going down that path. So it really does go back to what you draw from situations that you find yourself in and how you use that to develop yourself and to learn from it. So yeah, I'm not sure if you can be overconfident. You definitely want to sell yourself, like put your best foot forwards and not just assume that because the interview panel has your CV that they know everything about you.
Yes, I love the collaboration of both of those perspectives and, kind of putting that name on, confidence versus, what was it that you said, Naomi? Confidence and...
The thin line between confidence and arrogance.
Yes, confidence and arrogance. Yes, there's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. All right, I am being mindful of time. Our next question, what employee resource groups are available at CSC? And I see the three of y'all looking at me like, Shauna, why wouldn't you answer this question? So I am going to take this question. Very good question. We have quite a few colleague resource groups at CSC. We have a Black Employee Network. We have a CSC Proud group that aims to provide allyship and advocacy to our LGBTQ plus community. We have a neurodiversity group. We have a group that focuses on all different religions and non-religious affiliations. We have groups focused on gender equality. We have groups that are focused on allyship and advocacy for the Hispanic or Latinx community, and several other communities that are either in the process of being launched as we speak, or ones that we are still waiting for our passionate folks, and perhaps one of you who are on the call right now to join the organization and help us to chart one of those great colleague resource groups that we have. Is there anything that you all want to chime in about the colleague resource groups?
I would just say that they're great, and Shauna, thank you for taking that question. I would say that they're great. I've had the opportunity to join a few meetings myself here and there, and what I like about those meetings is that you don't necessarily have to identify directly with that group. You can sit back, listen, which is what I love to do. I want to learn from other experiences, and I love that CSC has that opportunity to listen and learn. You're not going to be an expert in this area or that area. So I love that we have those, and they're most of the time remote. Sometimes we have in-person events that happen, but it's great that anybody within the company can join those.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the big thing with our colleague resource groups. They are not groups just for the communities that they have been charted for. The whole goal is allyship, advocacy, that sense of belonging, spreading education and awareness. So thank you very much for that question, and thank you for that follow-up, Sarah. All right, we are down to our last question for the webinar. Panelists, are soft skills and culture fit more important than actual technical skills?
I think I can take this one.
All right, Adrian.
So I would say it's a blend of the two. The hard skills are so I'm going to take, for example, just to be a little selfish here, because I do recruit for shared services, and I'll take accounting and finance to field this a little bit and explain. Accounting and finance, there's going to be hard skills, and without having those hard skills and the education to support it, that wouldn't be a possibility. So again, I mean, I hate to come back to the role specific, but it generally is. I mean, there are definitely going to be some positions where, the hard skills are just going to be critical. The soft skills are so important because it does help you to really contribute to our organization in the values part of what we've already talked about repeatedly, the teamwork and just being a collaborative individual. If you don't really have the strong soft skill set, you would likely not be able to really, or you may not want to contribute at the same level, to demonstrate those same behaviors. So I would say it's a balance. It's definitely a balance between the two. I don't know that I would say one is more important than another. It's just that it just depends on the position.
Good answer. Good answer. Naomi, Sarah, any? I mean, I know that was a solid response from Adrian.
100% agree. That's what I have.
Same.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will move on right now. So, just real quick, CSC is having another webinar this fall related to entry-level positions and internships. Now, this will be a great opportunity to learn more about different career paths that might be better suited for those who are starting early in their careers. Folks, if you haven't already, you should sign up for the CSC Talent Community to get notified about that particular webinar. And also, CSC is hiring. We've got several positions open in several locations globally, so please go to cscglobal.com careers to learn more about these different positions. Also, if you like what you heard today and want to learn more about CSC, or just to connect with your panelists or your moderator, check us out on social media. We'd love to hear from you, and for you to get to know us a little more, and for you to get to know CSC a little more. And then with that, I want to thank everyone for attending our webinar on company culture, for asking such engaging questions, and for taking the time to learn more about CSC. We appreciate your interest and really hope that you found the insights valuable for fostering a positive work environment. While we are at the end of our session, you can continue sending in your questions via that chat tool, and then we'll be sure to get those answers back to you along with a recording of today's session. Thank you all so much again for joining us today, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.